Here we go. So by now you've probably heard about some of the controversy surrounding the 2.0 update for 7 Days to Die. And it doesn't matter where you look, players are simply not happy. YouTubers are rightly calling out the fun pimps, and kudos to Jawoodle for having the courage to do so. The 7 Days subreddit is a never-ending flood of negative sentiment, and the official forums are the exact same way. Reviews for the game are at an all-time low, and player counts, they've barely surpassed the numbers that we saw after the Alpha 20 update in December 2021. So is 7 Days to Die dying? Well, maybe not yet. In response to the criticism, the developers have held their first ever Town Hall livestream to address the people's concerns and lay out their plan for how to turn things around. And today I'm going to recap what they said and what it means for the future of the game. But first, I want to get everyone up to speed on how we got here and how the 2.0 update is really just the tip of an iceberg of problems for 7 Days to Die. You see, the criticism for 7 Days really stems from three things if you ask me. And first off, it's the removal of features over time, in particular survival-based features. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was going to make a video that went over all of these things and what they were, what they did, why they might have been removed, what they were replaced with, but let's just go through the list real quick here. They have removed the wellness system, learn by doing, temperature survival including wetness, snow, radiation, and the hazmat suit, dynamic item quality and combining items for higher quality, zombie corpse loot and gore blocks, zombies smelling food in your inventory, building materials such as wet concrete, rebar frames, wood 2, flagstone, and stainless steel. Many zombies were removed, such as the cheerleader, football player, cowboy, and behemoth. And the funniest thing is that those were removed because they broke immersion, and then they went and added the frost claw and the plague spitter zombie. Forge molds, the blood draw kit, giant hornets and hornet nests, different meat types depending on which animal it was harvested from, and individual recipes for each one, biofuel, log spikes, and the table saw, which was merged with the workbench. The next big criticism for 7 Days is the constant reworking of existing systems or replacement of existing systems. We have a progressive enhancement to zombie AI to target exploits such as targeting supports in tower bases or digging holes to get to underground bases.
We like to support as much play styles and freedom as possible, keeping the sand in the sandbox. However, sometimes we need to change or limit some features so that the majority of the play styles are not hindered by supporting that particular play style, or there's an exploit like, oh, I don't like it when zombies dig underground. Well, we don't like exploits in our survival game, so we're going to close loopholes like that.
Farming has been reworked a couple of times, not just in planting and seed harvest, but also the removal of the iron hoe and tilled soil. Of course, there's water with the removal of empty jars and the addition of the dew collector. POIs are constantly being reworked. And I just want to say real quick, POIs, I have no problem with the direction that POIs are going in. I just mean to highlight the fact that there used to be non-linear POIs where you would just go in and explore yourself, to now the new standard is a linearized POI where there's a specific pathway that in many cases you have to follow, or else you won't find all of the zombies, or all of the zombies won't spawn in and you might fail your quest that way. Character creation has been reworked from full customization now to pre-made characters. The clothing system's been reworked from an 8-part dyeable system to a 4-part system. Vehicle crafting used to be part by part, and now it's just a one-click craft. Loot gets reworked with almost every single update. It's now very flat and linear with really no element of luck to it. Weapon crafting used to be multi-part, like you'd have shotgun receiver, shotgun barrel, shotgun stock, and now it's just a single part. And then there was like the blunderbuss rework, which was basically transitioned into a full set of pipe weapons. And you know what? Despite all of the reworks, all of the nerfs, all of the changes, all of the balancing efforts, I personally feel like the game has never felt so imbalanced and broken in my entire stretch of playing the game. And I would say the third major criticism is essentially the lack of new end game specific content. Don't get me wrong, a lot of things have been added over the last several updates, but I looked back at the Alpha 19, 20, 21, and 1.0 patch notes, and I was surprised to see that a lot of the new content was actually just reworked or replaced old content. And the theme here is that they're simplifying the game. Sure, there could be technical challenges to some of these systems, and so they were removed, or maybe some of them were just placeholders and had to be replaced eventually, and others might have had a performance impact that they couldn't solve. But by and large, I believe that the dumbing down of 7 Days to Die was to make it more appealing and accessible to new players. You see, 7 Days to Die is one of those rare games that's not only been been relevant, but it's been increasing in popularity over its lifespan. It's getting better and better. More and more people are playing it. More and more people are buying the game. And that presents a bit of a unique challenge for a development team. How do they continue to make their game relevant and accessible and popular as the years go by?
TFP has big debates over designs that we think are very important to everyone, the team, the players, and our goal is always to try to do what's best for the game. If something turns out bad, we'll fix it. And we know that some changes have been met with skepticism, yet each alpha exceeds the concurrent player peak and daily active users of the last alpha, which to me is a good indicator that we're on the right track.
But they also have an overarching business plan that's probably influencing some of these decisions. And in my opinion, that plan has been to make the game more beginner friendly and more accessible to new players. And what that's meant over the years is a constant deterioration of complexity in favor of a more streamlined experience. They're basically trading the grit that 7 Days to Die used to have for the glow that 7 Days to Die currently has. But then finally the 2.0 update came out, and it finally dawned on me. I realized that 7 Days to Die is not the survival sandbox game that it used to be. And I don't know what it is or what to call it now, like what genre of game this is now, but honestly, this is not the same game that I started playing back in Alpha 19, and I'm not particularly excited for the 3.0 update with bandits or the 4.0 update with story mode, given how things have been going. That is, unless the developers can turn things around. Put the sand back in the sandbox and get rid of this goofy, gamified progression treadmill that the game has become. So, with all that said, let's dive into the developer town hall and see what the devs have to say. All right, the town hall just concluded. It's now very late at night, so I'm being a little bit more quiet, but yeah, it went really well. They said all the right things. I think that they are going to turn things around after all. They're going to bring back immersion, sandbox elements, new game options, and they're going to make some changes to the Plague Spitter, the Frost Claw, to the Storms, to the Smoothies, all of the things that we've been complaining about the 2.0 update. It looks like they've heard us. So what I'll end up doing is I'll play a little soundbite from the devs, and since this is a recap, I'll paraphrase afterward.
We want to thank you all for all the feedback that you've been giving us. And we wanted to let y'all know that we're listening. The team has been reading feedback from Reddit, the forums, social media, influencers, and singled out a number of topics that we think we could do better on. 2.0, we tried a few new things, and some of it went well, some of it could be better. And to that end, we're going to get into some details in the stream.
The first topic that came up was the biome loot stage caps and how they are being removed.
After listening to the community and examining the system, we agreed this is not needed and removed it for the next patch.
And they also talked about why that was implemented in the first place, and basically they hinted toward the story mode, about having to kind of guide a player along the story path, and part of the way that they wanted to do that was to force the players to move from one biome to the next, but they kind of recognized that that really wasn't needed. There's already incentive with a biome loot stage bonus for players to travel from one biome to the next. Next up, they talked about the biome challenges.
The biome challenges are going to be changed so that the biomes can be unlocked in any order to promote sandbox gameplay. So you can go straight to the wasteland and go and do that challenge first if that's something you feel like doing.
Next up, they talked about biome progression and badges.
Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. So we're going to do away with the badges. Badges are going to be changed to various survival kits to have a more immersive theme, and they will include different themes of personal protective equipment. Smoke survival kit for the burnt forest. You're going to have a firefighter respirator.
The last stage of the challenge would allow you to craft the item, and
Yeah.
it would also allow you to craft one for your friend who joins, so that he wouldn't have to go through the biome immunity challenge himself if he didn't want to.
In the desert, you'll craft a heat survival kit, and it'll look like something like a bandana and a hat and sunglasses, and that'll negate the ambient heat hazard found throughout the desert biome. And then the player model will not show any of these items, but you'll have an icon and the description of it, and it'll be an object that you craft.
Next up, we're going to talk about these stupid smoothies and their plans to fix this.
The burnt smoothie will now become a black lung serum. It's going to use the injectable animation that we have that's really cool. So you'll inject this. The Oasis smoothie is going to be called the Sunstroke Tonic. Frostbite smoothie is now going to be Scorcher Stew. And then the Atomic smoothie is going to be called Fallout Flush.
Next up, they're going to talk about how they're going to change storms to make them less of like a player timeout and something that's maybe a little bit more possibly rewarding, risk reward, we'll say.
Biome Storm is going to have 2 stages. Stage 1 will have a unique debuff per biome. So in the burnt forest will be smoke inhalation, desert will be sunstroke, snow would be frostbite, and the wasteland would give you radiation sickness. All the stage 1 debuffs recover over time when you're sheltered.
So 2 different levels of storms, mild then severe. The mild version of the storm will give you a biome specific debuff, so that's like radiation poisoning and sunstroke and frostbite and stuff like that. They also went on to say that, for example, if you're in the snow biome and you're cold, if you stand next to a campfire or have a torch out, you'll warm up, or if you go into the water, you'll get too cold and you'll become hypothermic more quickly. They also said that the storms would be a shorter duration overall, there would be less damage over time, and also there's a possibility that the zombies will have an increased chance to drop loot bags. And they also went on to talk a little bit about armor, because we used to have those old armor mods. Remember the insulated liner and the cooling mesh mod? They're talking about bringing those back basically so that you can apply those into your armor and have basically just another layer of protection against the storms.
Thinking insulation mods and possibly tiers of those that will increase the amount of time that you can be out in a storm during stage 1.
Next topic of conversation was the Plague Spitter and the Frostclaw zombies, which apparently are being entirely reworked.
So yes, we've already started on that, and we're modifying the Plague Spitter to fit our kind of central Arizona lore with a Native American looking Indian. And if you guys haven't noticed, a lot of our bandits are Native American, so it's really going to tie in well with the fact that there's a lot of bandits.
The game is set in central Arizona where there's the Apache, so we're pulling it back into that lore.
We're also doing the Frostclaw to kind of look more like a lumberjack or like a mountain climbing mountain man badass guy.
Basically, they're leaning into the Navasgain, Arizona roots, where there's a large Native American population, and so the Plague Spitter, the Desert Plague Spitter, is going to be of Native American ancestry, and the Frostclaw zombie, which they didn't tease at all, we didn't get any images or anything, is going to be like a lumberjack, mountain man kind of person instead of a freakish Yeti monster. So I do absolutely approve of this. They did talk later on in the stream about how this is inevitably going to delay the 3.0 update though. Oh, and they did comment on how they are reducing the spawn frequency of these guys, so they're not going to just be swarming you every time you go into the desert or the snow biome anymore. I wasn't expecting to see this though. This is our first look at the official third-person mode that will be coming within the next few weeks or months in one of the point updates before 3.0. I personally think this looks really good. There's a feature where you can change shoulders, so you can kind of aim from side to side. And there's another feature where if you go into an indoor area or you're crouching down, the camera kind of zooms in and tightens it up for you. So, looks pretty cool. On to the next thing though.
So tinning is coming back. We just didn't have time to do it, but we're committed to it now. So we're going to bring back tinning for the player clothing and or armor.
Yeah, so in the past you used to be able to apply dye to your clothing and you could make yourself look, a number of different ways. And they when they implemented all the new armors, I guess they never had time or they never got around to implementing that system for all the new armor. You could do it for the vehicles, you could do it for the weapons, but they just didn't have it done yet for the armor sets, so they're wrapping that up. That should be available for one of the updates soon. So they were kind of bouncing around here. The next thing they talked about are some new questing types and questing options, and the first one was
Flat spot code.
Flat spot code. So what does that mean? Basically, the game engine, there's some code in there now to identify small flat areas that are most suitable for airdrops and for dig quests. So no longer are you going to hopefully find airdrops in the ocean or on top of a POI or, in other real difficult to get to areas. The buried treasure and buried supplies and stuff like that will be in a kind of flat open area that's easy to kind of retrieve from. And apparently they want to implement some new quests around that specific code. But then they also get into another new quest type they're looking at, and I'm not sure if this is going to be for 2.0 or 3.0, but It's a destroy building quest type where the whole objective is to go inside, plant charges, hit a button, and just detonate the entire building, blow it up, level it. And they also tease that this is going to be the new sort of destruction physics style that the game will have for all structures. So it doesn't matter if you're collapsing POIs or your base is collapsing, it's gonna fall apart in more of like chunks instead of individual pieces from now on. Ooh, next up they were talking about some new weapons, more specifically rare, non-craftable, legendary weapons that you can only obtain through looting pretty much.
We're wanting to make rare legendary drops that have unique names, skins, special attributes, and these items would not be craftable. Adding in, legendary weapons and armor and tools.
The next question was, will there be any new workstations added to the game? And surprisingly, yes, at least 3 of them, if not more.
Looking at an apiary, bee farm, we want to do a chicken coop. The other one we're considering is like an electric or industrial stove.
All right, my friends, that's gonna have to do it for this one. There were more things that were discussed in the live stream, and I encourage you to check the Fun Pimps YouTube channel for the full version of the live stream, which I'm sure they will post there at some point. There will be another opportunity, they said, this weekend if you're looking to get the purple Fun Pimp hat. It's a Twitch drop, so you can watch the stream again this weekend and claim your reward for that. Personally, this isn't perfect. This is not the game that I am dreaming of. However, these are a lot of small steps in the right direction. They might be steps backward in some areas, but hey, at least they're course correcting. They're moving in the direction that us players, especially us veteran players that have been playing for a long time, from the early alphas till now, changes that we really wanted to see, things that are important to us, like survival elements and realism and, diverging from this fantasy setting that the game has been moving toward a little bit lately. So I, for one, applaud the Fun Pimps for not only recognizing the problems with 2.0, but also coming out and exposing all of these issues and coming up with a plan to fix things slowly over the next couple of months and conducting this town hall live stream for the first time. So thank you, Fun Pimps. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to bed. I'll see you all in the next video.
Fortunately, we've only had, some pitchforks and, we've had a mob of pitchforks where we were like, guys, calm down, we're going to fix this, we're going to balance this. We think just unbalanced. We've shipped some undercooked features before. In the end, when we patched them, people were like, oh, I guess I understand what your intent was now. What it says to me is they care about our game and they love our game, even if it's coming across in maybe not a flattering way.